Limiting law enforcement liability. First, we must define what liability is and what causes it. Liability, simply put, is when you are responsible for something. Police are immune from some types of liability. For police to be liable, two requirements must be met. They must be acting in performance of their duties, and they must have violated a constitutional or federal right. Types of liability. These are not every type of liability, but the most common types encountered by law enforcement. Use of force. This is one of the most common. Emergency vehicle operations. Examples would be operating at a high rate of speed and hitting a bystander or vehicle not involved. Search and seizure. This is another common. Evidence and property. Dealing with the mentally ill. Sexual harassment and misconduct. An example of liability. Under federal civil rights law, suits can be brought when an official violates federal constitutional or statutory rights under the color of law. In Bivens versus 6 Unknown Agents. If you were to violate the Fourth Amendment by making an unreasonable search or seizure, for example, you could have to pay monetary damages to the person whose rights were violated. The evidence also could be suppressed from a criminal trial because of the exclusionary rule created by the courts to deter future violations. Rutledge D. 2003. This is another example, short video. Miami police had to pay $600,000 in liability claims. 3 individuals were killed. How to limit liability. Agencies' policies and procedures. Training. This should be a number one priority to limit liability. Policies will not work without the training. Recruitment/hiring and body/dash cameras. Policies and procedures are put in place to safeguard officers and agencies from liability. In order for these to work, there must be a system that requires them to be reviewed. They must also be updated regularly to stay relevant. Training is essential to reduce liability. Officers must be trained on the policies and the tools that they use, both in in-service training and external training. Recruiting and hiring good officers reduces liability. Do this through thorough background screening when you're hiring someone. Body cameras have been proven to reduce liability. They reduce/disprove the claims of police misconduct. They also help to keep police more accountable for their actions, further reducing liability. Liability is a complex problem that law enforcement officials deal with on a daily basis. Most civilians can avoid liability by staying away from high-risk situations. Law enforcement officials do not have that luxury, and they are forced to deal with high liability situations on a daily basis. Training, policies, good recruitment, and even body cameras can help to limit that liability. Do we have any questions?